What is the only cryptocurrency that you should invest?
DogeCoin!
It's the people's currency, you know it's the best.
Please buy!
The most fun and ironic crypto, that is for sure.
So crypto!
We're taking DogeCoin to the moon.
to the moon!
And if a broker says, listen, you can't get rich with Dogecoin, say stonks. But even Daddy Elon knows it's the time to join.
Much fun!
Cause
Fate loves irony.
therefore we're passing Bitcoin soon.
Elon, Gene, Snoop!
Take this little puppy to the moon. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, never sell.
Much rich!
Buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more, it's doing well.
Such high!
Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, never sell.
Much value!
Rising, 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 I can tell.
Very trading!
Shut up and take my money. This meme coin is looking funny. Let's make history together. In Doge we trust.
Much trust!
Jump on the hype train, bros. Cause even Snoop Doge knows it's going up. Don't drop it when it's hot. Doge is the only cryptocurrency that you should invest.
DogeCoin!
It's the people's currency, you know it's the best.
Please buy!
The most fun and ironic crypto, that is for sure.
So crypto!
We're taking Dogecoin to the moon. Dogecoin to the moon. Dogecoin to the moon. Dogecoin to the moon. Dogecoin to the moon.
Alright, welcome to another episode of Dream Tank TV and Junkgrass Badness. Sorry, we're like, I don't know what's going on with the internet. We're still lagging. Hopefully it stops and we go green so we can actually stop disconnecting. Just so y'all know, anybody that's coming in, that is why our internet keeps going in and out. So hopefully it finally sticks and we don't have any issues anymore. So we're just gonna keep it playing like that until it gets fixed.
Is a loser. One of those two. Which one? I'm not sure. Like, there's been some interesting movement in March, so it could spike up because it did spike up in March. Thoughts on Ton and its interesting news? We're going up a little bit. I mean, like, we're slowly creeping up. We're definitely slowly creeping up. Pace is running. Yeah, like, the thing about Base is it doesn't actually have a coin itself. So since Base doesn't actually have a coin itself, a lot of the money that would go into Base, is going to go into, like, Base coins instead. Because there's people that are interested in working on Base. Tangem is fine. I don't have one myself, but from what I've seen, Tangem is fine. Tangem is actually gaining popularity. Tangem is definitely gaining popularity. I mean, it's a pretty nice cold wallet. Get myself a Cybertruck? Yeah, I probably wouldn't get myself a Cybertruck. Not really the kind of truck I want. It's too damn big. Like, big trucks literally are, like, just hard to... Like, they're hard to park and hard to, like, squeeze. I don't use Tangem at all. Been using Ledger for... I think Ledger is fine. I do think some of the problems that Ledger has had have been kind of, like, overblown. I think Ledger's actually fine. And I don't think most of those problems actually affect regular people, you know. I think a lot of them have been overblown, and I still think I definitely still think Ledger's okay. Pro integrated into Base. F450. Yeah, I mean, I've driven, like, one of those big Ford trucks before. I rented one because I didn't have any other cars. I hated it. I don't really care. Like, unless I really need to tow something, I wouldn't buy a big truck. And I don't really need to tow things. Debating between Hurricane or Ondo is. I don't think Ondo's gonna 50x from here. Like Ondo's been already like Ondo's already gone up like so much. And I don't think that BlackRock narrative is actually that strong with Ondo. They've managed, like in the beginning, they managed to convince people of their BlackRock narrative. I just don't really see it. Yeah, but those trucks also get like really crappy gas mileage. So like it doesn't suit me. Like I don't really see like it doesn't really suit me. I don't really know why I would ever buy one of those things. It just doesn't make any sense for me. I mean, I don't really need to tow like heavy loads. So I'm not gonna buy like a gigantic truck. The F-150 was already huge for me. And like the large trucks are really hard to squeeze into parking garages. Like you just like legitimately can't. Try finding a parking space like crowded in downtown. It's like hard. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. It has a wallet connect and it's a pain. Gaming doesn't seem to be a big narrative. Not yet, it doesn't. I do think gaming will blow up sometime. Cause like, I mean like after Axie blew up, a lot of gaming just blew up last time. And I think like it'll be kind of the same. Like once one or two start blowing up, the rest will probably start blowing up. I still think Doge can possibly reach $1. It's not guaranteed because Doge relied on Elon last time. It's really hard to predict what Elon will actually do. So while it can reach $1, I probably wouldn't bet on it all that much. Ondo's going to have quite a few. I mean, Ondo, yeah, is going to have a token release. But realistically, like, I think they play the BlackRock narrative really hard. And obviously, BlackRock's using more than just Ondo to tokenize. I haven't heard any news on any good. I haven't really heard of any, like, super hyped up games, like, in crypto market. I know there's a couple of companies that are working with certain projects. But I haven't really seen anything come out. Like, the Fortnite thing, the Fortnite, like, map pack, I don't really know what the hell happened to that. Oh, the strong hand stuff? Yeah, I was the bull run. I don't think it'll actually end early. The bull run came early because of ETFs. I still think like there's going to be plenty of ETF buying this year. And like the altcoin stuff, like altcoins really haven't had their run because the ETF money isn't going to go into altcoins. So like I think altcoins will still like wait until like after the halving. You're like, so I think like the bull run will still go like at the same time as planned. My ETF for OM is then go up to $7. I don't like on like coins that are like hyper pumping. I don't think like it's useful to do TA on them at all. I actually think like TA on altcoins is basically a waste of time. Considering getting Toyota Helix, convenient truck and affordable. I mean, just get a car that let's get a truck let's get a car that suits your needs. Like a truck is not what I need. I don't think I ever really need one. Maybe like moving furniture, but that's like maybe like once every couple of years, which is not really a thing for me to really buy something based on that. Bull just started. I mean, we've been, like, Bitcoin's been bullish for quite a while. And, like, even altcoins have been going up for a while. Just not quite as much as we want. I bought a pre-sale token. Those can do really well. I mean, I've seen them do really well, and I've seen them do really poorly. It kind of depends on luck. You can do a lot of research on pre-sale tokens, and it can still turn out really poorly. Like, a lot of that stuff does actually depend on luck, whether those things actually work out or not. Structure we've ever had. I mean, there's actually institutional buying for BTC. That's kind of what's new this time. We've always like, you know, hinted at institutional buying in the past, but this is like real institutional buying. How long do you think Bitcoin is going to be sideways for? I would say like Bitcoin's probably going to be sideways for like a couple of weeks, but realistically, like Bitcoin's already surpassed my expectations post halving because it's already gone up about $2,000. So, I mean, I personally wouldn't really hesitate to buy because, yeah, it could dip back into like 60K, But even if it does that, I'm losing like 10% out on Bitcoin. So whether I buy at 66 or 60 is not too big of a deal for me. Because like it's gonna go, I think it's gonna go up above 120. So if I were like DCAing, I would still continue to buy now. I wouldn't wait for a dip, because sometimes that dip doesn't really come. I mean, like DCAers have actually done better than swing traders for Bitcoin recently. Because like a lot of the swing traders, like, you know, when they were in the 50Ks, they were like waiting for like a leg down to like, you know, 40 something K, and that never came. And still they would have never actually bought in at this point if they were waiting for that. Same thing for everyone that listened to like Crypto Savvy, or like, you know, that were following like Gareth Soloway's charts. Like those didn't work because like they never hit their buy points once we started going up. So yeah, you might not be happy that you like missed a 10% dip or 15% dip, but that's way better than just like not buying in since like 20K or 30K. Yeah, I mean, like even missing like a 10 or 15% dip, that's way better than just like never buying in at 20K or 30K or 40K because you were waiting for a bigger dip. The biggest dip we've gotten so far is around 20%. And a lot of people were like wanting to buy like a 40% dip, which just hasn't happened. And I doubt it's gonna happen this anytime soon until we really start going down. Ones that SEC are picking on because those are real. Now the SEC just picks on coins that like they think they can get money from. Thanks, man. Thanks for the donation. And the SEC has picked on Telegram as well as like a couple of social media coins, ShipChain and stuff like that. The SEC has definitely picked on some coins that have just like died. So it's not really good advice either. Definitely like not everything that the SEC picks on is gold. What do you think about the guy who lit himself on fire? He had a message about crypto. I don't really know. That's crazy. I would not light myself on fire just because I wanted to say something about crypto. That's kind of crazy. It's definitely kind of insane for the halving effect. It does, but you know it does. I mean, like people are afraid of like a minor sell off. But I'm not really sure that like that's gonna happen. Really not sure if that's gonna happen.
The Bitcoin halving is over. So what is going to drive Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies into this next phase of the cycle? If we still think there is further upside to go for Bitcoin and cryptos, what could it be? Today's video, let's have a look at some strong altcoins. We got fantastic feedback from you guys in the last video as I went through a mini lesson in how to find those strong altcoins and how to avoid the losers for this next stage of the cycle. So I've got plenty to cover as per usual, and you guys are really holding up your end of the bargain, smashing the like button as I try to beat that YouTube algorithm, that YouTube audience that prefers the warning crazy titles and crazy thumbnails. So much appreciated to you guys for sticking with us, watching the channel, sharing the content, hitting the like, you get the deal, and replying to the questions about what you want to see in the content. So with that out of the way, we've got Bitcoin to cover, we've got USDT dominance to cover, we've got the total cryptocurrency market cap, and of course, some strong altcoins. Roughly about 6 of them that have all got different patterns and something for you to be aware of for your own portfolios moving into this next stage. I think most are going to miss the bottom That typically is how we get to these really strong peaks to the upside, and then the
Let's see, Lamb fam. Yo, sorry, Lamb fam. We might be delayed. That's why we're still red. Just so you know, but we're gonna keep it going. So like it'll eventually get green and we'll be in real time without no real lag or disconnection. It's just around here they're doing something to the area, so that's why we're lagging. I'm sorry. So hopefully they'll fix it too, and then we go back to being green with no issues again. Let's see. Lamfam says weird. It's like someone tries to push Doge down. Doge down. BT starts to run and Doge is dragged down. Yeah, that's it's fine. He says, Lamb says, man, I can't watch your stream now. It's lagging, delayed like crazy. Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah.
corrections, but more on that in a little bit. Let's get over to the traditional markets. They closed at the end of last week, so a quick update there, and then we get on to Bitcoin and cryptos. This is the important stuff here because this is what is going through the psyche of the people out there. Tech stocks plunge. So we saw Nvidia down amid geopolitical and recession fears. I mean, if you've been watching the news for more than 6 months, at least the financial news, you've seen this come up almost every other week. There's geopolitical tensions, there's always recession fears. Eventually, we know it'll be right. The main point I bring this up is so that we can get desensitized to these headlines. Onto BTC news and crypto news. Bitcoin completes fourth halving, ushering a new era for BTC. It's happened. We got to that halving point. Nothing went wrong. And now the miners are earning 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes rather than the 6.25. So what we saw end of last week, it was roughly about $400,000 as a reward, and now that reward is roughly about $200,000. Obviously, with Bitcoin's price, it's going to fluctuate. The main thing that happened here is that you could see that the miners were selling into the lead up of the event, so they've been net sellers, and also the ETFs were net sellers leading up to that as well. It's not the ETF company per se, it's the people who are buying, the investors who are buying within the ETFs. So when people point to the ETFs and they say, BlackRock's not going to let this happen, BlackRock's not going to let the price fall, it's not up to BlackRock whether the price goes up or down. I know it's hard to believe. It's crazy to think that they don't have that much control. But at the end of the day, their business model is fees. I don't know how much more simple it can be. If price goes up and people buy, they're going to have fees. If price goes down and people sell, they're going to take fees. So their business model is about creating as many products as possible that people want. It's the same thing when you go out to dinner. How many different options can you have on the menu that you really like and you really want to try? How many different types of drinks? Whatever it might be, how many different products people want to buy? Forget the stupid narrative around BlackRock's not going to let the price fall, because this happened 2022. Michael Saylor's not going to let the price fall under his average price, which was $30,000. So if you haven't been in Bitcoin for over 2 years, it's the same stupid narratives that go over and over again. People get sucked into it, and then you see the price fall. So obviously Bitcoin went under $30,000 and everyone thought Saylor had to liquidate. It didn't happen. That's the rant, just so that you can be filled in on history, because what we know from history is people learn nothing from history. So hopefully we are all learning something from history. Anyway, on that point with ETFs creating products that investors might want to use, and then you'll figure out whether they do want to use it with the use of that product, Grayscale's planned mini Bitcoin ETF will have a 0.15 fee. So their current fee for their GBTC is 1.5%. This is going to be 1/10 of that. So it'll be the lowest among spot Bitcoin ETFs. They're going to take 10% of their GBTC and create the Bitcoin mini trust. So their BTC, they got away with having a fantastic ticker symbol for that. And the fees are going to be 1/10. So potentially, I don't know, this article didn't say it, but the mini trust is going to be 1/10 of one GBTC. and one GBTC is not one Bitcoin. Doesn't matter. The point being here is that they are creating more products, which potentially will drive more people into the industry. This is the sort of way that I like to think about the fundamentals of any sort of investment that I am looking at. Not necessarily BlackRock and Larry Fink are not going to allow the price to go down. Like that's really stupid, basic sort of thinking. Have a think about what the investors are wanting to do and whether we start to see any sort of drive from the public to adopt these other products and whether they get super interested in it. That's my 2 cents. Take a read of this, save it if you have to. This is what we're anticipating will happen over the coming months here. Michael's got a prediction. So my brother here on X, the unrest in the Middle East. That's basically the main thing that I'm seeing going on at the moment. The main narratives in the headlines, at least for the stock markets now that we've seen them down a little bit, the Middle East will largely stay in the Middle East. So the unrest for now, this is looking over the span of 3, 6 or so months, okay? Not over the next 2, 3, 4 years. For now, just looking at this around that 3 to 6 months. Keep that in mind as we continue on here. In anticipation of World War III skyrockets, which is based on the 1% of the knowledge and plenty of misinformation they have gathered from mainstream media. So the masses will get distracted while simultaneously becoming geopolitical experts. We've seen that before. It happened in 2022. Everyone was a geopolitical expert at the time. Asset prices form another macro higher low, providing one of the best buying opportunities of the year, yet most people missed it because they were distracted. And the distractions come from a lot of these sorts of headlines here, which is why I focus so heavily on it at the beginning. Before I get into Bitcoin and cryptos, at the end of the day, this is the difference that you get from my channel, Home of Macro Cycle Analysis. You get the deal, okay? So that's my rants again. Most people miss it. Order's restored, at least on the surface level, because things can escalate in years to come, but at least for now. And eventually everyone starts playing catch up and they try to keep buying the dip on the way up. They buy and happily paying a significant premium because everyone else is. That also goes hand in hand with the short term here that Jason Shapiro is talking about. This is a fantastic channel. It's a few minutes in the morning. It gets you thinking differently to 99% of people in the entire financial space. I highly suggest subscribing. And if you do subscribe, go to his comments and say Jason Pizzino or Pizzino sent me here, because it's great stuff just to hear it, right? The dip happened on the stock markets, or it's happening now. But on the way up, everyone was hoping for a dip, trying to get into the dip, and it didn't come. They got 2% dips, as we've covered here on the channel, and now we're seeing a 7% dip, and they're all talking about the market coming up so they can sell into the rally before another move down. And it doesn't seem like the rally has come on this entire move. You can see it's only been very, very minor intraday rallies, and it hasn't seen a rally since, roughly the 10th of April, so nearly 2 weeks ago. And that's essentially what Shapiro's talking about here. I want to buy into the dip, and now they're waiting for the rally to sell into. Well, they never got that dip to buy, and now they're never going to get that rally that they want to sell into. And so it's always seeing what the masses are talking about and then trying to understand what might come next from the market, because typically the masses are always wrong. They are right for a period of time, and that's usually towards the end. Let's head over to Bitcoin on the short term. The 50%'s at 66K. So this is top to bottom, sliced in half. We had already got one rejection last week here on Monday, came up to 67, rejected, and has dropped from there. Now we're starting to see the market try and claw its way back, potentially putting in some high lows for altcoins. Bitcoin also trying to do the same thing here, but until it can get over 67 grand, well, you've still got the possibility of getting another rejection, which would then potentially turn into further downside and a retest of that 59 to 60K level. Right now, it's still just stuck in this range. So as much as we want to have a crystal ball for exactly what happens and people trying to tell us that this has to pump from here, the chart isn't saying anything. It's just saying, look, we're going on a rally, but unless we get over 67K, which was the previous rejection, previous swing top, 66K is the 50% level. And for the entire range here, it's 66.7, so 66,700. There's really nothing to say that we must go up from this point, okay? So that's on the short-term basis. On the weekly, we had the lowest close.
Reason saying it doesn't say that it's gone up because he doesn't know how to read a map. He doesn't know how to read a chart. That's why he said that there's no signification of saying it's going up. The chart says we're going up. We're in a bull market. We're going up with or without you. And if you don't understand that, like this person doesn't understand that, they still don't know how to read a chart. And it is what it is.
Closed since the last week of February, which of course closed in March, but basically nearly 2 months there. It's been the lowest weekly close. The good news to this is we haven't seen, or at least for the bulls, we haven't seen any sort of major move to the downside. And that leads me just briefly to what happens if we were to see some major moves to the downside. From the low to the next support level at roughly 56K, there's only about a 5.5% drop. And to that zone of 50 to 53K is about 11% drop. So provided you have something planned for a possible drop at those levels, like we talked about in the previous video that one of the subscribers had pointed out how to DCA into this, then you're going to be fine. So it doesn't matter if the market goes up or down, you've got a plan for either direction. Because some people just want to know it has to go up, it has to go down. That's not what trading's about. I think it's all wishy-washy. There's no one knows what's going to happen next. You just have to have a plan for both sides. It's that simple. So 67K, if we can get above that, or if Bitcoin can get above it, probably some better things ahead for cryptocurrencies as well. And then that would say that it's swinging the probabilities in favor that this is going to be the low at 59K if we start to consolidate above 67. All right, so enough said on the short term for BTC. In the longer term perspective here, fear and greed index is still on the rise. It has bounced out of a reading of 57, which is essentially neutral. That came in around the lows of last week. And now we find ourselves back at 73, which is essentially greed. So I've pointed out before that this is the least feared bull market of all time, or at least of the reading here going back to 2018, because in we've only got that previous bull market, right? Those cycles saw multiple occasions where the market sentiment dropped underneath 50 or roughly 40, which showed signs of fear and extreme fear. Whereas this cycle, we haven't seen extreme fear since the lows of November, which was when FTX collapsed. So like the biggest event that could ever happen in crypto, that showed the bottom of the market. And that was the last time we saw extreme fear. So I'm just a little wary that we haven't had a reset yet. We know from history that the market can remain elevated for several months until we do see a flush out like we saw in 2021. Even that quick flush out in January that brought it back to support at 29K was enough to get it back into the fear. So looking forward, that's the next phase. If we were to break down from 67, came up, tested it, and then broke down, I would suspect that we would then finally get our retest on the market sentiment in the fear zone. So between 25 and about 46 points on that reading there. Okay, so that leads us over to the USDT dominance chart. Just looking at this last week, we looked at weeks to the upside. We're sort of hitting that target now for roughly 3 to 4 weeks to see what happens from there. And in the past, it has hit that time frame when it bounces from the support line and then hits resistance and works its way back down to test the support line yet again, which now leaves us the option of testing resistance further up at 5.5% or coming back down to test the support line again. If the market came down, if USDT dominance came down, that would mean money is flowing back into Bitcoin and cryptos, which would then mean you're starting to see a base form on Bitcoin and cryptos, unless, unfortunately, you started to see it bounce again. This would mean that more money is flowing back into USDT and flowing out of Bitcoin and cryptos. The plus side to that is you would then again start to be able to see which cryptos are stronger and which ones are weaker. Because if money is still flowing in USDT, but some of these altcoins are holding up and others are falling, well, then you're starting to see where the money is sticking and where the money is leaving. That's the big difference here. So that's the good news from this chart. Even though we don't know which way it's going to go, you start to see which ones are going to be stronger and weaker. So the total cryptocurrency market cap was rejected at 50% there. So you can see it right through the middle, but we found some support at the previous top. So roughly 415 billion. Reasonable close here. It was a pretty fearful week the week before. While we remain in this area here, it could be setting up for some bottoming patterns for altcoins, which is now time to get to. Before I do, this is some of the results from our members trading the markets at this point in time. TIA Premium is the place to go. Link to that is in the top of the video description. Sign up to their free report, weekly report, and you'll get your discount on TIA Premium. So congratulations to you guys, are absolutely crushing the gains here while the markets are trending up and down, longs and shorts. So well done to you guys, making your big profits over there. Leads us to our cryptocurrency. Sol is an obvious example. I think you probably understand that by now, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. However, I will give you some simple rules and guidelines to have a look at. This is a stage of the market I think we need to have the patience, look for the reversal signs. Do not get bored or scared and leave the market. This is what happens at each of these.
Yeah, I can see your comments, Lamb Fam. I can see your comments. Yeah, it just takes a couple of seconds because of the lag. I'm sorry. It literally there's a lag, and like there's internet issues in this area right now, so I can't do nothing about it until they fix it. When they fix it, I know I just went zero. So there's internet issues in my area. When they fix it, then that's when we'll go green. I will stop lagging. So hopefully they fix it soon. I apologize, man. I apologize.
Consolidation periods where the market kind of gets bored and quiet. Average true ranges start to dry up, which is the range.
Let's see. Again, okay, I see you another day when YouTube fix. Yeah, sorry, man. I apologize. Hopefully it does, man. You take it easy. Have a good one, man. Sorry, apologize.
Range of the bars that Bitcoin has seen on the way up. You start to get smaller bars, which means there's less interest in the market. The same thing happened through that 7 months in 2023. A lot of people left, they missed out on the move to the upside, and they started to chase their tails thinking, what should I get in now? Should I get in now? It just gets a little bit more complicated. This tends to happen typically around these periods of the year. You have multiple months straight up. We've covered this many times on the channel, so make sure you do hit the subscribe button. I'll go through it in more detail later. This one's more about the cryptocurrencies now, but you could see 4 to 6 months of sideways accumulation after the halving or during the halving period, and then also after pretty significant moves to the upside. And it's happened in each of the cycles. So maybe we're into one of these periods right now. So that is Solana, the macro picture. Now the rules and the guidelines here. Enter positions while fear is dominant, but not too early. So that's looking at point 1, patience, and look for a reversal signal. So what are they? Let's not be too wishy-washy here. High risk, high reward, high discipline. You want a dollar cost average or buy the dip, same particular thing, but have a stop loss. If you're getting into cryptos that are dropping faster than other cryptos, probably a good reason they are. And the reason could be that there are less people interested in that crypto. So you want to be where the masses are going, or they will go, and you want to be somewhere where it is finding support. There is smart money, there is something holding up that market while the other markets are dropping. It's very contrary to what new investors look for, new traders, because they think the market that keeps going down and down and down is just going to be a better opportunity because, oh, now I'm 90% from the old all-time high, and therefore I can make more gains to the upside. Completely, utterly stupid. And I see that on Twitter all the time, or X all the time, with these big names out there that are always talking bullish crap, and they're just saying you got to keep getting into these altcoins and buying the dip. It's easier to buy something that has momentum. It's that simple. If you're trying to push a car up a hill, it's much more difficult than just pushing the damn car down the hill. You're going to get better results by doing something easier. So look for the trend there. And if it's not going in your favor, then have that stop loss to the downside. Number 2, let the market prove the move. So this could be the trend confirmation strategy. Option 2 is the lower risk, is lower risk than option 1, but it comes at a cost, which means you got to buy it at a higher price. So completely up to you which option you use. These are the main things we like to look for. 50% support and resistance out of the accumulation zone, which I've looked at, and first higher swing lows for support. So Solana, it's hit the 50%, but it's not in the accumulation range of the cycle that we're in, and it's above first high swing lows. Now, I go through this in greater detail in masterclasses in TIA Premium. So if you do want to learn about that, there's plenty of content over there. It's a link in the top of the video description. That is going to help you find the strong stuff over the weak stuff. So Solana, strong position. And of course, I'm using the Bitcoin chart because that is really going to show me which coins are going to outperform Bitcoin when the cycle kicks off or when the altcoin season kicks off again. Next up, Pendle. You can see those higher lows forming. We're on the Bitcoin chart. In this case, it's above 50%. It's above 50% again, and it's above the accumulation range and the first higher swing lows. Render. I'm flicking through these quite quick so that hopefully you can jam them all into your head and go on to do something else with them. Higher lows on the monthly chart here, above the 50% level, above the accumulation ranges of 2022 and 2023. So keep an eye out for that as well. And I'll come back to another point on these declines. Fetch.ai, stuff that maybe you've seen talked about, but you just don't understand why some things can be stronger than others. Again, above 50%, above accumulation ranges. It's above swing bottoms and obviously even smaller accumulation ranges. So it's still all showing signs of being strong. Casper, this one looks a little different. It is still holding up. It's below the 50% levels here. It's above the accumulation and it's above the higher swing bottoms. It is a newer crypto, so you can't expect it to do something that an older crypto has done here. This is doing some pretty strong stuff as it's come through its second cycle. Nonetheless,